Lady and the Tramp, a Trusty Babysitter. Written by LARA, BERGEN, illustrated by the Disney Storybook art team. It was a beautiful evening. Lady and the Tramp were dressed up for dinner. It was their anniversary, and Tramp had made reservations at Tony. He had booked the same table where they had dinner on their very first date. "Come on, Bridget," Tramp called. "We're going to be late." But Lady was busy making sure their puppies, Scooter, Fluffy, Ruffy, and Scamp, were fed, bathed, and ready to be tucked into bed. "Now, be good for your babysitter," she said. "We will, Mama," the puppies replied. "You too, Scamp," Tramp said, eyeing his son. Just then, a knock sounded at the dog door. "Uncle Trusty!" barked the puppies, wagging their tails. They pounced on him affectionately and licked his floor-sweeping ears. "You're our babysitter?" Scamp asked. "I am indeed," Trusty replied. "Don't let them give you any trouble," Tramp said. "Trouble? Why, this little younging wouldn't dream of giving Uncle Trusty any trouble," said the old dog. "Would you, Scamp?" Lady and Tramp kissed their puppies goodnight and headed toward the dog door. "Don't let the puppies stay up too late," Lady told her old friend. "One bedtime story, and then it's straight to bed." "Oh, don't you worry, little lady," Trusty said. "If my grandpappy taught me anything, it's how to put a dog to bed. I'll have him snoring away like an old sawmill in no time." Trusty followed the puppies to the parlor and settled on a cozy cushion right next to their bed. "Now then, where was I?" he said. "You were going to tell us a bedtime story," Scooter said. "Oh, yes," Trusty chuckled, "a bedtime story." "Fine idea. Don't mind if I do. Let's see now. How does it begin?" "Once upon a time," Fluffy suggested. "No," Uncle Trusty shook his head. "Or wait, maybe yes. That sounds familiar. Once upon a time," he restarted. Where was I again?" While Trusty tried to remember his story, Scooter, Fluffy, and Ruffy yawned and closed their eyes. Soon they were fast asleep. Trusty smiled down at the puppies. "Well, now, that wasn't so hard," he said. "I don't know why Lady went on so. I do declare there's nothing to put in pups to bed. Sweet dreams, little youngings." Trusty leaned over the puppies' basket to give each one a gentle peck. "Wait one dragon minute," he said as he came to the third and final furry furhead. "Weren't there 4 of you before?" Scamp was gone. "Which way did he go?" Trusty asked, turning round. He turned 2 more times, but Scamp still wasn't there. Trusty put his nose to the floor in search of Scamp's trail. Unfortunately, Trusty's sense of smell had gone for years, but that had never stopped him before, and it wasn't going to now. Trusty sniffed and sniffed, following his nose straight into the piano. "Oh, excuse me, ma'am," he said. Slowly, Trusty made his way to the kitchen, which looked as if a storm had just blown through. There were smashed eggs everywhere, milk bottles lay empty, their contents forming puddles on the floor. Big sacks of flowers had been torn apart. "I'd say the pup's been here," Trusty said with a sigh. Scamp wasn't there anymore, but he had left behind a trail of furry paw prints. Trusty followed the prints into the living room. It looked even worse in the kitchen. "Jim, dear," newspaper was in tatters and slippers were torn to shreds. Darling's knitting had been unraveled. Yarn crisscrossed the room like a giant spider web. "Which way did he go?" Trusty said again. He followed the yarn around and around the room, until at last it led him back into the small hall and the doggy door. "Scamp," Trusty called, eyeing the holes dug all over the yard. "Scamp, you come back in here. You hear me? Listen to Uncle Trusty now." But if Scamp heard Trusty, he wasn't letting on. Trusty was about to call Scamp again when he noticed a hole at the base of the wooden fence. His old heart began to thump loudly. Trusty hurried over to the fence as fast as his sniffled legs would allow. "Doggone it! The pup's gone and flown the coop," he moaned. What was he going to do? Trusty poked his head through the hole and then quickly pulled it back. He had seen Lady and Tramp strolling down the street toward home. Poor Trusty. His beloved lady had left her dear little puppies in his care and protection, and he had let her son run away. Trusty plodded back into the house and sat by the doggy door to meet the couple and break the bad news to them. "Trusty," Tramp said, beaming as he and Lady stepped through the door. "How did it go?" But before Trusty could answer, Lady pranced up and kissed his cheek. "Dear Trusty, we really can't thank you enough. Let us go and peek in the puppies, shall we? Then you can tell us how everything went." Trusty hung his head and followed Lady into the parlor. Dreading the story he had to tell, how was he going to explain that he'd lost Scamp? Suddenly, Lady turned around. "Trusty," she said, "however did you do this?" Do what?" he said, confused. Lady pointed to the puppy's basket. "Why, get Scamp to go to bed, of course. Even we have trouble making him settle down." "Well, would you look at that?" Tramp said, eyeing his son. "Well done, old chap. I'll tell you something. We'll definitely be asking you to babysit again." The end.